Did you see that?
A Wichita jet and an Army Black Hawk helicopter collide midair over the Potomac River in Washington, D.C. No survivors.
Let's continue to use our words for comfort.
You were with them in the cold waters of the Potomac and your angels watching over them.
Our investigative team will be on scene as long as it takes in order to obtain all of the perishable evidence and all the fact-finding that is needed.
Also on the plane, 14 skaters and coaches from last week's figure skating championship events in Wichita.
Tremendous sadness for the families, the teammates, the entire skating community here in Wichita.
Good evening. This is a live picture of the scene near Washington, D.C.'s Reagan National Airport, where crews continue to search in the dark for victims of that fatal plane crash. Reagan Washington National Airport has now reopened as officials work to recover bodies and begin the process of investigating what led to that fatal collision between an American Airlines jet from Wichita and a military Black Hawk helicopter.
And a last report from CNN, about 40 bodies of the 67 presumed dead have been recovered. We have live team coverage from near the scene in Arlington, Virginia. That's just steps from Reagan Washington National Airport, as well as the impact of the crash had on the local skating community coming off the figure skating championships in Wichita, as well as the governor's reaction.
First, though, this video shows the helicopter and passenger jet colliding just before 9 o'clock last night. Everyone on board American Airlines Flight 5342 and the Army Black Hawk helicopter are presumed dead.
We will look at the aircraft, we will look at the helicopter, we will look at the environment in which they were operating in.
Yesterday's crash is the first major commercial crash in the U.S. since the one that killed 49 people in Buffalo, New York in 2009. Reporter Sarah Allen is in Washington, Virginia tonight near the airport. And I know you've been out there most of the day, Sarah. What is happening out there in the dark now? Yeah, that was Sarah reporting from Washington. Obviously, she can't hear us right now. We will try to get back to her in just a few minutes, but she did tell us earlier that she can see the search crews are still out there. She talked to several people who saw the crash, and we'll have her a little bit later. Chris?
Thank you, Deb. Reactions are also pouring in on the crash locally and nationally as well. KAKE's Abby Ray has also been covering the angle live from the Wichita Ice Center because this has been a day full of emotion and grief with the loss of at least 14 people from the figure skating community, skaters, coaches who've all been involved in a lot of this. And we're going to try to be able to check in here with Abby in just momentarily from the Wichita Ice Center. Abby, are you there?
Yeah, Chris, absolutely. We have learned that the entire local ice skating community has been shocked by this tragic news. While we have been able to confirm there were no Wichita Club figure skaters aboard the plane that went down yesterday, the community here is still struck by grief. We actually have a picture and video of some of the development skaters who were here on Monday in this exact building. Devastating is the word being used over and over again. We spoke to the general manager of the Wichita Ice Center and the president of the Wichita Figure Skating Club, who both offered their thoughts and prayers to all those involved in last night's crash. They both said they had had very positive interactions with the skaters while they were here in Wichita.
I'm not worried about skating. It'll still persevere, but this will never be forgotten in the skating world. I know that for sure.
I feel gutted for everyone involved. It's a terrible tragedy.
Taylor says this is actually an international tragedy. She's received dozens of calls throughout the day, even a call from her daughter in Germany hearing the shocking news. She says right now all there is to do is pray and wait until we learn how we can best support the victims and the victims' families. For now, I am live at the Wichita Ice Center. Abby Ray, KAKE News on your side.
All right, thanks so much, Abby. In the meantime, Governor Laura Kelly traveled to Wichita this afternoon with an update on what she's learned about the crash. KAKE's Pilar Pedraza is live downtown with the very latest from there. Pilar.
Video of the actual plane.
Well, Deb, the governor spoke on a number of issues. The one thing that she really was proud of, she said, in all of this is how well all three levels of government immediately started working together. Representatives at the federal, state, and local level, regardless of party, regardless of political issues, setting all of those aside and concentrating on dealing with this crash and the folks who are struggling, who have been injured, the families who are in pain right now because of all of this. As she said, they have been in constant contact with their federal partners, in particular with the NTSB, the National Transportation Safety Board, that is running this investigation. And in fact, she said they have gotten a lot of questions from the public, especially from family and friends of passengers, about why the passenger manifest has not been released yet. So she took that question to the NTSB.
In my conversation with the National Transportation Safety Board this afternoon, I asked them exactly that question, and they're waiting for all the families to be notified. And there are some folks who are on that plane who are from overseas, and so that's partially the reason for the delay.
Now, she did say that they expect, the NTSB, I should say, expects to have that manifest out to us sometime tomorrow once they have managed to notify the last few families. We do know that there was at least one family from the Wichita area because they showed up at the airport last night, but there may be more. We don't know the totals at all until we see that manifest. And American Airlines is asking that if you suspect that you know somebody, friend, family who is on that flight, to please call them. They've set up a 1-800 number. You can find that at our website. Please call them immediately because, you know, when you buy a plane ticket, you don't necessarily give them next of kin to contact. And, you know, the governor also said something else very interesting during this. She said she believes that this will probably end up being what's considered an avoidable accident. We'll take a closer look at that, new at 6. Live from downtown, Pilar Pedraza, KAKE News, on your side.
Thank you, Pilar. Many people found a sense of solace and prayer today amid the grieving. They attended a prayer vigil that the mayor, Willie Woo, called over the noon hour at City Hall. Hundreds gathered in council chambers for a brief prayer service. And members of the Greater Wichita Ministerial League also led the service. Prayers centered around unity and trying to find lights amid this very dark chapter.
And we are in a very difficult and dark time. This is a time right before the greatest light. It is our duty and our privilege to light a small candle, a small flame, which will push away a lot of darkness.
And along with prayers, people also sang, chanted, and held a moment of silence for those who died in the crash.
And those recovery efforts continue in Washington, D.C. in the icy river of the Potomac. Reporter Sarah Allen is in Arlington, Virginia tonight near Reagan National. Sarah, you've been out there today. What are you seeing?
Good evening. Like you said, I'm here in Arlington, Virginia. Right behind me is actually Gravelly Point, where throughout today we've seen multiple law enforcement agencies from all over the DMV, including Virginia, Maryland, and the Washington, D.C. metro area, coming in and out of this kind of command center they've set up behind me as they continued those recovery efforts earlier today and really trying to just understand what happened in that mid-air collision last night between that American Airlines flight from Wichita and that Army Black Hawk helicopter. Now, again, just moments ago, I actually just spoke with someone who was here in this park last night at the time of the collision. He tells me that he's lived here for now over 18 years and that he has never seen an emergency response like he did last night. While he was walking around the park, he didn't hear or see the explosion in the sky. However, it was more of the influx of sirens immediately after. He said again, nothing. He has never seen a response like this in the years of him living in the DMV area and was just amazed with how many first responders were on the scene and how quickly they had gotten to the Potomac River. For now, live in Arlington, Sarah Allen.